Ethan had been warned before setting foot on Arthelia. Earth was a newcomer to interstellar politics, fragile compared to the grand empires of the stars. His role was ceremonial at best. Stand, bow, look humble. Humanity's colony ships had only just begun spreading beyond their solar system. To the Arthelians, humans were children playing among giants. But when the heralds called the suitors forward, Ethan found himself watching with a growing unease. The Draxan warlord promised her 20 legions. The Mkai chieftain offered control of wormhole routes. The Zyran council pledged eternal allegiance if she married into their bloodline. Each proposal dripped with power, and each was met with the same serene expression from Serenia. She bowed, thanked them, and moved to the next. Ethan shifted uncomfortably, wondering why he had even been brought here. Earth had nothing to offer but fragile hope. And yet, when her gaze found him across the chamber, his breath caught. The moment lasted only a second before she turned away. But for Ethan, it was enough to brand itself into his memory. That night, when the feast began, he sat quietly at the fringes of the great hall, ignored by nearly everyone. He was halfway through a goblet of something faintly resembling wine when a shadow fell across his table. It was her. "Human," she said softly, her voice like liquid music. "May I sit?" The goblet nearly slipped from his hand. Around them, courtiers whispered, shocked that the Princess of Arthelia would sit with such an insignificant guest. Ethan swallowed. "Of course, Your Highness." She smiled, not the rehearsed smile she had given her suitors, but something warmer, something startlingly real. "I tire of kingdoms," she confessed, leaning closer. "Tell me, Ethan Cole of Earth, what do you seek?" For a moment words failed him. But then he answered honestly. "Not power, not wealth, just a place for my people among the stars." Her smile widened. "And you personally, what do you seek?" Ethan looked into her eyes and felt the ground shift beneath him. He didn't dare speak the truth. Not yet. Middle, rebellion and choice. In the days that followed, Ethan was summoned again and again. Officially, it was for cultural exchange. Questions about Earth, its history, its art, its resilience. Unofficially, it became something else entirely. He learned that Serenia was more prisoner than princess. The crown weighed heavy with expectations. Marry for alliance, rule with calculation, never follow her heart. Her council saw her not as a woman but as a throne. Yet with Ethan she was free. They walked the crystal gardens at night, where bioluminescent flowers painted their faces with shifting colors. She asked him about oceans, about rain, about the taste of coffee. He asked her about stars he had never seen. They laughed, sometimes too loudly, and courtiers began to whisper that the princess had taken a strange interest in the human envoy. But whispers turned to danger. Not all were pleased by her attention to him. One evening, Ethan was ambushed in the lower corridors of the palace. Alien guards loyal to a rival faction cornered him, their blades humming with plasma. "You will not pollute her destiny," one snarled. "Humans are nothing." Ethan braced for the end, but before the strike fell, a searing bolt of light split the air. Serenia herself stood at the entrance, her staff glowing with ancient power. With a single command, she sent the attackers fleeing. When the silence fell, she ran to him, gripping his shoulders. "Are you hurt?" He shook his head, stunned. "Why would you risk yourself for me?" Her eyes glistened. "Because kingdoms mean nothing if I cannot choose my own heart." And then, for the first time, she kissed him. Rising conflict. The trial of crowns. News spread quickly. The princess had chosen. Not a king, not a general, not a suitor of galactic stature, but a human. The council was outraged. Demands were made. The Draxans threatened war. The Zyran delegation stormed out. To them, Serenia's choice was madness. But Serenia stood firm before the council. "You speak of alliances, of fleets and empires," she declared. "But none of you understand loyalty or courage or kindness. Ethan Cole saved nothing but my spirit, and that is worth more than 1,000 kingdoms." Still, her defiance carried a price. According to Arthelian law, if a princess rejected all alliances, she had to prove her chosen partner's worth in the Trial of Crowns, a series of ancient tests designed to measure strength, wisdom, and heart. Ethan was horrified when he learned. "Serenia, I can't. I'm not one of your warriors." She took his hand. "You are more. You're human." The trial began in the Colosseum of Stars. Thousands gathered to watch, streaming across the empire. In the trial of strength, Ethan faced a beast bred from the ice moons, larger than any Earth predator. Armed with only a spear, he barely survived, outsmarting it by using the arena's walls to trap it. The crowd roared. In the trial of wisdom, alien scholars presented riddles tied to cosmic lore. Ethan, recalling Earth's philosophies and problem-solving instincts, answered with metaphors that baffled even the Arthelians but rang true. Finally came the trial of heart. Ethan was shown illusions, Serenia bound in chains, Earth burning, stars collapsing. He was told to choose whom he would save. He refused to choose at all. "No life is lesser," he said. "If I must fight eternity itself to protect both, I will." The arena fell silent, and then erupted in cheers. Serenia, tears streaming down her face, ran into the arena and clasped his hands. "You've done it," she whispered. "You've proven them all wrong." Ending, the choice that changed the stars. In the end, the council relented. A tradition older than empires had been fulfilled. The trials had been passed. The suitors withdrew, some in anger, some in respect. The Draxan warlord muttered that perhaps humans were not as weak as they seemed. The Zyran council quietly noted Earth's name in their records. And Serenia, before the galaxy, declared her choice. "I reject crowns, thrones, and alliances forged by greed. My kingdom will be built on truth. And my truth is this. I choose Ethan Cole, a human of Earth." The crystal spires echoed with thunderous applause. For the first time in centuries, a princess had chosen love over politics. That night, Ethan stood with her on the balcony, looking out over the glowing city. "Do you regret it?" he asked softly. "Never," she said, taking his hand. "I was born with power. But only with you did I find freedom." He smiled, gazing at the stars. "Then maybe humanity has finally found its place among them." Together, they watched as the galaxies stretched wide before them, no longer as a princess and an envoy, but as two souls who had dared to defy empires for something greater. Not power, not kingdoms, but love.